it's Ed, and welcome to episode 1 of Cracking the Codex for Adeptus Mechanicus. This week I'm joined by Scrivo as always. How are you doing, Scrivo?
Yeah, really good. Yeah,
Lovely
not much
stuff.
to complain about.
And our expert for the week is Jack Doddy. How are you doing, Jack?
I'm doing very well. Expert is a strong word, but I'm doing very well.
Ignore Jack's words. In fact, what we'll do is we'll just flash up some pictures of the glorious rat mech that he has converted up on screen now, and we'll seg smoothly into the next slide. So, army rule. What is it that makes AdMech tick, Jack?
Well, these are the these are the Doctrina imperatives, and these. I really enjoy this rule because there's a lot of versatility and your army suddenly changes what it does dramatically. How this basically works is the start of every battle round, the AdMech player will decide whether they want to go into the Protector imperative or the Conquer imperative. If you're in Protector, every weapon in your army gets heavy if they've got the Doctrina imperative rule, and they get what is essentially Armor of Contempt when they've got units within their deployment zone. So every shot coming into them is reduced, they gets the AP reduced by 1 within that deployment zone. And if you're a Conquer imperative, everything in your army gets an assault keyword. And if you're shooting something in your enemy's deployment zone, you get an extra blip of AP. Because you can change this on the fly, your army suddenly, that is generally quite slow, a lot of movement 5, suddenly getting advance and shoot on pretty much everything, really throws a lot of people. And equally, in a game where cover is so prevalent, having essentially army-wide reducing AP by 1, you just laugh at AP2. The amount of rapid-fire battle cannons that have come into my side is like, cool, I've just got a base armor save against this still.
Yeah, absolutely, because those battle cannons killing every breacher that the save fails on. But if you're saving on 3-ups, you're not going to fail a lot of those saves. About this rule is that if you're playing on one of those sort of terrain light boards, it doesn't mean that you can just absolutely table your opponent in turn 1. Or deployment zone to theirs, because you can either get heavy or you can get the additional AP when you're shooting at your opponent in the deployment zone. So it's not quite as oppressive as it could be on the terrain light boards, which just makes it a little more balanced to play against.
Yeah, 100%. There is a little bit of a weird sort of counter to it, which I find if only really applies if an AdMech player is going second. If you're going first, he has to declare. You have to declare whether you're in Conqueror or Protector at the start of your opponent's turn. So they know immediately if your army can advance or shoot or not, and they know if you're getting that extra toughness. So they sort of kind of go, "Oh, cool, yeah, you've decided to do Conqueror. I can make sure I'm just outside of range because you can't do assault. None of your weapons have assault anymore. Perfect." Which is one of the weird things about it, is your opponent can start to figure it out. AdMech are in that wonderful position where not a lot of people play them, so there's a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, you could argue maybe a little bit of a mind game you can play with your opponent if you
100%.
want to try and prevent them from getting onto the early objectives. If they're going first, you want to try and prevent them from getting that early primary lead. You can say, "You're welcome to join. Step out of the out into the open. But if you do, I am going to absolutely ruin you."
Yes.
All right, moving on. We have a couple of units to note here. This one feels a little less open than we had with the Necron Codex, but there are a couple of real standouts. And it's not that there aren't good units in this codex, it's just there are a couple that are really head and shoulders above everything else. So, John, how about you tell us about the Cataphron Breaches?
Yeah, so an interesting unit that in the index we did see a lot of. So nice toughness 7 body, 3 wounds, so pretty survivable, with a 3-up and a 6-up invuln as well. They are infantry, so despite being these big hefty bases, terrain is not getting quite in their way. Their gun, if you're going to go with, they've got 2 guns, but generally you'll see people going with the heavy arc rifle, which is 2 shots, but it's rapid fire and 30-inch range, so a lot of the time it'll be 4 shots. Hitting on 4s as a base, but there is ways of kind of improving that. 8 -2, 3 damage, which is quite a sweet swap profile. So things like Terminators, all these sort of pesky units that can be quite survivable, if they've not got something like an Armor of Contempt being popped, that's going to get some chewy, kind of pushing them onto their invuns. Any fail, that's a whole model gone, which is very nice.
But John, there'll be wounding vehicles on 5s. How will you deal with that?
They also have anti-vehicle 4-up. So
That is
to wound, they're
wild.
critting on 4s, which is lovely.
Just having anti-vehicle on what is, it's not battle line, but effectively your battle line unit for AdMech is fairly nuts.
It makes us great for some certain hard counters.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
So it's pesky. Very pesky. So based on their datasheet as well, they get reroll 1s to hit. And then if you're within 6 inches of battle line, you get 4 rerolls, which is very nice. Obviously, there's some things in some of the detachments that will kind of change and affect that for you as well. Their melee isn't something to be sniffed at too much either. So it's normally the claw, the hydraulic claw that people tend to go with, which is 2 attacks, hit on 4s, 8 -2, 3. So again, that same profile, which is pretty reasonable, really. The other claw is okay. It's okay. It's anti-vehicle, but being only kind of like damage 1, I can see why people don't tend to kind of skew into that one.
No, it doesn't quite do what it's designed for, especially compared to the Breacher Claw, which is just Terminators charged into me. You've killed 1 or 2, and then I've somehow picked up the same number of Terminators back.
Yeah, it's the sort of weapon that you take if your army struggle to deal with small chaff units. AdMech do not struggle to deal with small chaff units.
And then the kind of the big success for the datasheet as well is that the list of characters that they can be joined by is the good stuff. So you can have a Tech Priest Dominus, giving them a 5-up Feel No Pain. You can have a Manipulus, giving them lethal hits. So even though you've got anti-vehicle, it doesn't matter a lot of the time because you might be fishing for 6s if you've got full rerolls somehow. Or a Techno-Archaeologist could be joining you, and then suddenly you've got OC2 as well. And they're big 60mm bases, so if you've got a unit of 6 of them, you're just owning it. That objective is yours.
And that lethal hits can be very important sometimes, because the one weakness is that, I'm relying entirely on breaches to kill my opponent's big stuff. Cool, it's a greater demon or a monster, I'm moving it on 5s. Having those lethal hits, and with the full rerolls to hits, you get past that one negative.
Yeah.
It's a very flexible sheet, I think, in that respect for me. It just feels like a unit that a lot of the time we've seen people bring multiple bricks of it. We'll have to see if that continues to be kind of maintained, but I imagine so.
It's a Swiss Army knife unit in my favourite way to run Swiss Army knife units, which is just it kills everything it looks at.
Yeah.
The Swiss Army knife is just the hammer on the end of the cudgel that I will beat you with, but it's okay because it beats everything to death.
Exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's one weakness of you going into it is being tagged by chaff.
Just play better.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Skill issue.
So if you are going into this, if you can tag it with a single gargoyle as part of a unit of 10 or whatever you have, yes, it will eventually chew through them because it's got some decent attacks, but it hasn't got that many attacks, and they're still hitting on 4s often in combat. They get their rerolls in combat still, but chaff will tie them up.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the other big unit in the Codex, and I do mean big literally. It is the Dragoons with Taser Lancers. These things are massive. They take up an unreasonable amount of space, but it's fine because they're cheap. They're fairly tough. T7, 3 up armor save, 5 up invuln, 7 wounds. They've got stealth, so -1 to hit in the shooting phase. Just frustratingly hard to get rid of. 7 wounds is a really annoying breakpoint to deal with as well. Like, yes, you could in theory kill them with 1 shot from a las cannon, but you'd have to roll a 6. So realistically, they're taking 2 or 3. If you've got flat 3 damage weaponry, it takes 3 to kill them. It's just quite an efficient breakpoint there. They also have advance or fallback and charge on their datasheet, which is a change from the index. These things were pretty okay in the index already, but this makes them kind of terrifyingly fast at getting where they want to be. How many do you think you'll be running, Jack, in your lists?
I'm running at least 6, and I've tweaked my current list to try and get 8 in there. Because waves of these dudes fill so many gaps in the AdMech list, because we can be very slow, and these guys just aren't. They're fantastic.
They're really good.
All the Chicken Walker units, all the different Walker units have a place and are solid. I think Dragoons are just particularly perfect to what they're meant to do.
Absolutely. They hit reasonably hard in combat. They're a bit swingy. They've got 4 attacks. They only hit on 4s, but they do have sustained hits too, which is, as anyone who's played Immortals know, just an incredible rule. Strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage, which is a really solid breakpoint. Not breakpoint, really solid stat line. It's okay into everything in the game. Into vehicles, you're wounding on 5s. Get the charge off, you're wounding on 4s. You're suddenly wounding pretty much all infantry on 2s, unless you're playing the Admech Mirror, and you're only wounding the Dragoons on 3s. Shock horror.
Wounding dreadnoughts on 2s, though.
Yes, the other thing they have anti-Walker 2+, which is hilarious, and I think doesn't actually matter too much into the Space Marine matchup, because a 2-up armor save and -1 damage, it's not a great stat line into that. However, if you're charging into your opponent's Dragoons or Laser Chickens, the Ballistarii, I think they're called.
Yes.
If you manage to get a charge off there, you're going to absolutely eat through those units. There's plenty of strats that benefit them. The best one being the +3 inch move, +1 inch to advance and charges. So that means if you're planning to advance and charge with them on, say, turn 1 or turn 2, you're getting +5 inches to your movement for a single CP for a unit of 3 models, which is just, I think we can all agree, not okay.
No. The other thing, yes, it's not great to dreadnoughts, but we also have to remember, Knights have the Walker keyword.
Yeah, that will rip through some armigers or war
they
dogs,
do.
Sure.
The unit does do 10 wounds on average, I think, roughly, when I did the math to an armature, which, is nothing to sniff at, especially because you've definitely chipped off a few wounds off that armature already.
Yeah, because, Admech had a typically difficult matchup into Knights, sarcastically.
We did, yes. Our bread and butter unit having anti-vehicle 4+, it was so hard for us. Woe is us.
Yeah. So if you do want to punch some babies while they're really suffering, queue into some Imperial Knights, because they will not have much of an army left past turn 2, I would say. Moving on, we've got a couple of honourable mentions as well, and these are the 2 big characters that you'll see attached to often breaches, but the key units of note. Jack, give us a rundown here.
Yeah, so these are this is where you're getting those lethal hits and those 5+ feel no pains from. You're getting lethal hits from the Manipulus, but he also has another wonderful little gimmick to him, where once per battle he can pop 4-up invuln for his squad for a single phase, which on a unit of breaches, we're always going to say unit of breaches, because these are that is where you're putting them to just be efficient. Suddenly they are even more unkillable. But equally, the Dominus giving them a 5+ feel no pain is a different level of unkillable, because suddenly with a Dominus in their breaches, their big fear is things like battle cannons and manticores and all these flat damage tree weapons, which are now on average not picking up a base with a 5+ feel no pain. They just weather any and every storm. They just become so much more of a problem. But even if we don't take into account breaches, your Manipulus and your Dominus going into a unit of Corpuscari, for example, the Dominus gives them a 4-up feel no pain, which so they can be quite surprisingly survivable. Lethal hits is good on any unit. So if you want to destroyers, for example, getting a lot of shots, the other version of the Cataphrons, which you don't see as much, they're just... The one thing Admech book does well is these 2 being such strong force enhancers.
They are fantastic, and I think you're going to see realistically 3.
Yeah,
maybe
you're seeing
4.
some combination of 3 or 4 of these.
Basically, how many units of breaches?
How many units of breaches do you have, and what flavor of breacher do you want? Do you want them
Exactly.
to always have? Do you want them to always have lethal hits, or do you want them to be even more unkillable?
Yeah, both are good. Moving on then. So to the first detachment, we have got the Rad-zone Corps. Jack, give us a run through.
Cool. Rad-zone Corps is about 20 minutes or so of admin at the start of every game, but I do love it. So every unit in your opponent's deployment zone at the start of the first battle round, they have to choose whether they're going to stand firm or they're going to take cover. If they choose for that unit to stand firm, on a 3+, it takes D3 mortals. If they choose for it to take cover, it is battle shocked, just straight battle shocked for the entire first battle round. And on a 5+, it takes D3 mortal wounds. And then after the first battle round, for every unit in your opponent's deployment zone, they roll a dice. On a 3+, they take a mortal, and then have to take another battle shock test.
That's incredibly frustrating if you wanted to hold your home objective.
It
Perhaps
is.
the way that you play it is you put a lone op character on there. Lone op characters typically have 3 or 4 wounds. Doesn't take long for them to fall apart to that.
It does not, especially if you've ended up taking 3 off the first off the first roll. It is fantastic into MSU stuff as well. So your Eldar with a bunch of 5-man squads trying to hide around corners and things. If you put any of them out there, and I've gotten some lucky dice rolls, I'm halving some of those units. Drukari, I've played a game where by the end of it, I'd killed an entire Scourge squad just with radiation. It is fantastic. It is very similar to what it was in the Index. This was our Index detachment, except they have improved it. Now that you can choose to be battle shocked, there's still a risk of you taking mortal wounds, because one of the big issues with this is some armies just didn't care about being battle shocked, and they went, battle shock my army. Sure, I'll be battle shocked for the first battle round. Bar these 1 or 2 units are going to hold my home of objective, and I don't care if they die. And now they now also do battle shock test every round after that, which is right annoying. The big thing about it as well is one of the enhancements increases the range of that by an extra 6 inches. So anything within 6 inches of your opponent's deployment zone on a 3-up takes a mortal in their battle shock test. And that's when it starts being very tasty, because that's when it starts encroaching on, I'm holding the middle objective, but I'm still within that zone, and suddenly I'm battle shocked. So I can't do defensive strats, I don't have any OC to hold this, so it just gets stolen.
Yeah, it does take up a lot of the board. And they've got a fairly reasonable suite of strats as well. Do you want to walk through those?
They have a very... one thing I'll say about this, though, beforehand, it is actively detrimental into some armies, primarily Sisters of Battle, where I start doing more towards the Sisters and I'm making them actively stronger. So this can be right swingy, but I do still love it.
Yeah, or if anyone actually played vanilla Dark Angels instead of just running one of the Space Marine detachments with them, you could, because they get benefits when they're battle shocked.
Exactly, and Necrons as well, just sort of eat the damage and just heal it off.
Sure. Don't love being battle shocked, though.
Yeah, you don't love being battle shocked, but yeah. But yes. Awesome. So the strats, they are somewhat changed from the previous Index, but it also has one of the best strats, I think, for Dragoons, being flat advance 6.
Yep.
It means that you can have a brick of them in your deployment zone. You're auto advancing 6, so that's 16 inches of movement, and then they're advancing and charging. It means that no one wants to put an infiltrator squad out in front of you, because they're just going to use it as a springboard and get around it. They're not quite fast enough to have a turn 1 charge off of it normally. You'd have to get quite lucky, but it's still fantastic. The benefit of that as well is that a lot of there's 3 of the stratagems in this detachment work by, if you select a Skitarii battle line unit, you can also select another Skitarii unit within 6 inches, and that's one of these ones. So you use it on a squad of Vanguard or a squad of Rangers, they auto advance 6 as well, and then it bounces to the Dragoons. So that's quite nice. And both of those units have, if you target this unit with a strat on a 5+, you get your CV back.
That's pretty solid. And then obviously the Vanguard have assault weapons, so when you run them into the middle of the board to do your teleport homers, you are still able to do the action.
Exactly.
It all just rolls on together.
Yeah, it's really solid. Shooting phase 4 rerolls to hit against a unit in your opponent's deployment zone. That synergizes quite well with the Conqueror protocols. So if you're in Conqueror, you're getting extra AP against them. You also get full rerolls. It's also really nice for your breachers if you've somehow managed to be in a position where you've not got your troops near you anymore, they've died. It's like, cool, nope, I still need your full rerolls. You're doing it. I don't think you're going to see the people using the 4++, because it's 2 CP. That's the only negative in this detachment, really, is the fact that a couple of these strats are 2 CP, when,
I think the use case for the invuln in the shooting phase is more when you're playing against someone who's managed to precision out your character that was already providing the defensive buff. So it's nice to have in the back pocket, but you're right, at 2 CP it is quite a steep cost to pay.
Yeah, because there's another one that's also 2 CP, which is -1 to wound in combat. The other benefit of both of those as well, that's another one of the, if you're targeting a Skitarii thing, it bounces to a non-battle line Skitarii thing. So you can protect like a unit of Vanguard, and then your Dragoons are also Skitarii non-battle line. So that's quite nice, but still. But the big thing about this, and probably the reason why I'm bringing it, is lethal hits for 1 CP. Because now the big the Sophie's choice of the Admech book is: do I take a Dominus for the 5-up Fiona Pain, or do I take lethal hits to make my breaches have lethal hits?
Why not?
I don't have to choose.
Absolutely.
I can have both.
I did say why not both when we were talking about them in the bonus units there, and I didn't realize how much you could really just have the benefit of both.
Just have both.
Yeah, it's
I
beautiful.
think, although as I said, the rule, its detachment rule is quite swingy, situational. I think I really enjoy it thematically, but not being able to have my 5-up Fiona Pain and still have lethal hit breaches is the main reason I'm still bringing this detachment.
Yeah. And obviously, you can also run Peerless Eradicator, which gives them sustained hits one as well. Did you think you didn't get enough shots out of your many shot unit of breaches? Well, have more.
Yeah, just have more. I think Rad-zone's my favorite. I don't think it's the strongest necessarily, but I think it's right up there. Mostly because its rules are fairly universal. Everything benefits from it. It is very much your mixed detachment sort of. Which is why it was the index one. Everything's pretty solid in it.
I found that with the Necrons as well. I'm playing the index detachment when I've been playing Necrons. It just seems like having a detachment that does benefit all of the units in your army is a strong way to go.
Getting value out of everything of your sort of army rules is useful, because so many times you're like, well, it benefits all my mounted guys, and that's that one unit in my entire army. Cool.
Yeah.
And yet, people, and by that I mean Paul James, will still run 30 Terminators and advance and charge them at you in Stormlands. Moving on.
Dream.
Yeah.
We have got the Skitarii Hunter Cohort. So the trait here, Stealth Optimization. Here's one that's got, funny you should say mounted. Your infantry mounted, and then your Ironstrider Ballistarii all gain stealth. Your Skitarii units gain the benefit of cover against range attacks unless they're within 12 inches. So this is aggressively okay, I would say. -1 to hit at all times is good. Plus cover, you're getting cover a lot of the time, and to be honest, the Skitarii units typically want to be more up the board. They are infiltrators, or if you're playing the Ruststalkers because they have some moderate melee output, they want to be in melee anyway, so they're not really going to get the benefit of cover from that rule. They do have a suite of interesting strats. All of the other ones we've just picked out 4. This one I went with 5 because I couldn't pick one not to put in. And the same with enhancements. I thought they were a really good suite there. So you can, for a CP, give the the namesake units a 5-up Feel No Pain. Solid. Just the sort of units that you're going to be running in this detachment, little 5-mans. Your opponent's going to dedicate their small chaff units to deal with them. Something that's probably going to, on average, kill 4 models. You add a 5-up Feel No Pain into that, suddenly the maths gets completely changed, and that can really swing or make your opponent have to make more or less efficient choices. You can spend a CP and get Advance and Charge on a unit. The main unit that I want to advance and charge with already has Advance and Charge, but sometimes that's going to be nice to have in your back pocket. There's the best strat is the Chaos Space Marine Index, also the Necron Codex, I guess. When you select a target in the shooting phase, that unit can only be selected as a target if it's within 12 inches for a CP. So it gives a unit lone operative. Very strong everywhere it's printed.
I was going to say it is, though, if I remember that one precisely, it is just for your Skitarii infantry. So it is the bread and butter of this detachment. But so don't worry, there isn't going to be Castellan robots or Cataphrons with load up now.
That doesn't seem fair to me at all. So I guess now's a good time to sort of vaguely seg off and just say this is not a detachment you're taking if you want to kill your opponent. This is something where you want to play the tricksy, I'm going to score max on secondaries and I'm going to score as many primary points as possible. That's the sort of list you're putting together here. Speaking of tricks, you can put 2 Skitarii or 1 infantry or mounted unit into strat reserve at the end of your opponent's fight phase. Great strat every time it's printed. Gives you a lot of ability to do teleport homers or behind enemy lines. And then you've also got an interesting one here, and I pointed it out because you pick 2 Skitarii units and 1 enemy unit, and both of your units get an extra AP against the enemy unit. That is in the shooting phase and in the fight phase. Now, they don't have to be eligible units. Oh no, I think you have to be able to see the unit, but you don't actually have to be in combat with them. So the Chaos Knights version of this rule, the Unleash the Hounds, or Dread Hounds, I believe it's called, you have to both be in combat. And I would find myself making charges with units that didn't necessarily want to be in combat just to get that efficiency boost from the unit I did want to be in combat with. This is just, you pick 2 units that can see an enemy unit, you get the benefit, even if you can't fight it. I think that's just an interesting, a little niche case use of the strat. It's almost like the Tyrannid rule, where you can cause a battle shock and you don't have to be in combat with the unit you're battle shocking. All right, enhancement-wise, there's a couple on here that's worth looking at. Battle Sphere Uplink. There's basically gives the leader's unit Fire and Fade, makes a 6-inch movement after they've shot. There's a Veiled Hunter. You can redeploy 3 units. It's the good redeploy. It's after you've done the turn roll-off, so you know who's going first or second. And also Clandestine Infiltrator. Unit gets Infiltrator and Sout, or Scout, as the rule on the data sheet. So it's a 6-inch move after you know who's moving first, taking the first turn there. Lovely stuff. Any thoughts on the Skitarii Hunter cohort?
I think there's definitely someone who's going to rock up with here's 160, a mixture of Vanguard and Rangers, because they're already a pretty nice body data sheet with 5 of Invuns. Your Vanguard are reducing OC, your Rangers have Scout innately. There's definitely someone who enjoys Warhammer when it's, I've got 180 models here, I'm scoring points, and I'm just letting you kill me. And that is this is the detachment for that person.
Yeah, just playing the full body carpet, also playing all the scoring units around that, the cheap infantry that you can, forward deploy or deep strike. Yeah. No, I think there's going to be some interesting things there. I love playing against those lists because you just get to roll loads of dice and remove models, and then potentially lose, but have a great time doing it.
Yeah. I still think someone's going to bring a breacher with this because they need to kill something, but still.
I guess. It wouldn't be an AdMech list without.
Exactly.
Next on, speaking of breaches or just killing things in general, we've got the Cohort Cybernetica. John, what's this one?
So, what this does is there was a few units that don't gain the army-wide doctriners. So this basically gives the Legio Cybernetica units, which are the Cataphron robots.
Castellan robots.
I'll edit it. So this gives the Castellan robots the Doctriner Imperatives rule, which is it's handy.
Yeah,
it certainly gives them that access to it.
I love having my army rule on all the models in my army.
It does just feel a shame, though, right?
What I don't love is using my faction trait to give it. Yeah, so instead of going everything in my army has 2 rules, it goes everything in your army now has a whole rule, one of them.
And it is
cool.
They say Legio Cybernetica models. There is the Castellan robots, and then the data smith that goes with them. Those are the Legio Cybernetica data sheets in this book. That's it. And this detachment, you'll see, it's geared around vehicles, but their detachment rule doesn't do anything else for vehicles bar the unit robots.
No.
Yeah, so going straight into the stratagems. So 1 CP battle tactic where you get +3 to your move, which then gives you +1 inch to your advance and charge on vehicle units. So that's kind of useful.
Dragoons.
So I was about to say, all those lovely things like Dragoons, just getting them up there, making sure that they get in there and do their nasty is kind of handy. The next one is a Cybernetica or a vehicle unit, gets Ballistic Skill 3+, and ignore cover against an unit on an objective, which is kind of what you want, because if your shooting's not great, because you're on a 4-up normally, suddenly it's a little bit more consistent, and then you're just going to be punking that unit that's on that objective. Which is just, we all want that, right?
It's not bad for your line of sight shooting because you've got your disintegrator in the back that's going to have heavy as well, so that's going to be hitting on 2s and then back to 3s if you're shooting out of line of sight. And then you also have your Ironstriders who are suddenly, because they can also get heavy with the Doctrina, suddenly they can be hitting on 2s with twin linked, and suddenly they actually go from before a army and everything's not reliable. No, I'm just hitting all the time.
Yeah.
I haven't run the numbers on it, but it feels like the big robots as well. The I'm going to get it wrong. It's not Cataphront. It's the Castellan robots. Thank you. When you give them just the full gun loadout with the 2 fist guns and the shoulder gun, and you give them the upgrade to make them, have 5 shots per gun, so it's 15 shots, and you're pumping out 30 shots, and it's all low AP, but you're ignoring cover. Maybe there's something there. It could be
Yeah, it's
interesting to.
It becomes 40 shots for a unit of 4 with all those hits. There is a few enhancements and other things you can throw on there as well. So it is just I'm gonna drown you in bullets.
Yeah, an expensive unit. If you're going for the full 4, you're talking like 450 odd points with the character as well.
435. No, 445, I think actually. But yeah, pretty much that.
And then, kind of following in on that theme, the next one is for CP. A Cybernetica or vehicle unit gets reroll to hit if they're below starting strength, but they get reroll to wound if they're below half strength. I don't like stratagems like this because it's suggesting that you benefit from something that's negative for you. So a unit being injured or half injured, I don't want that situation. That's bad. That's the bad sort of situations. I want to be avoiding that, not hoping and relying on that to then get some extra strength, consistency through.
What you could end up, if you're running lots of single model vehicle units, you could end up in a weird space where you choose to use the auto explode vehicle enhancement to detonate one vehicle in your lines, make sure all your other vehicles take, a couple of mortal wounds, and then you have that ability to get the rerolls to hit if needs be.
Yeah, which is really having that rerolls to hit is really important.
It's pretty solid, yeah.
It is weird though as well because you're going to struggle to get that reroll wounds, especially for like your robots, because it's a unit of 4, sure, but it's actually a unit of 5 because you always have your data smith. So you actually have to lose all three of your robots and have one robot left and the data smith if you want the reroll wounds.
Yeah.
And that output then kind of puts into question, do you really care about what's going to happen with that shooting? Because it's probably not going to do much, even if it does get 4 rerolls, which is a shame.
And same for your Ballistarii. When you're down from unit 3, you have to be down to 1 to get that full rerolls to wound. It's there. It's nice as a last chance. I'm nearly dead. Let's see if I can get through it. But it's a lose less strat.
The one time that I'm quite excited about this is when I have a unit of 3 Taser Goad Dragoons. One of them's died on my opponent's turn. I make the charge and I go, cool, I'm going to fish for hits with my Tesla.
Yeah.
That's the only time that I look at this and go, oh, I quite like that.
Yeah. I don't mind it on the robots because they already get full rerolls to wound. So you know what? With punches anyway, with twin linked fists. Sure. And the robots in combat do work. There's not a lot of things that can stand up to that many strength, that many damage 3 punches, and if I have full rerolls to hit on top of that. But you are right, Scrivo. It's not a great feeling that I have to kind of try to be happy about one of my robots dying when they're the better part of 100 points each.
Yeah. Well, if you're concerned about your big robots dying, there is the next strat. It's a battle tactic, probably just for you, which is to give a 6-up Feel No Pain on a single unit, which also is a 5-up Feel No Pain against mortals. So if you know that someone's going to be doing some pesky ways of getting round your survivability, maybe things like grenade strats or impact damage, perfect way to negate that, or try to, or at least minimise it.
Especially on 7 wound models like your robots and your dragoons, which are already a weird number to put guns into, and you're just making it even weirder for folk. And you're already tough as nails, especially if you're getting that protector imperative on a 2-up armor save robot, who you're probably wounding whatever you're firing at him is on 5s. Suddenly he's also got 6-up field of pain. Yeah, just hammer home the point that I refuse to die.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then strats, we've already talked about the enhancements there, but they are solid. 1 to auto explode vehicle. Anyone who has played with an auto explode strat will tell you exactly how strong that is when you need to finish off a couple of low health. Yeah, it can really turn the tides of battle.
It is nice. It especially if for whatever reason you've got a troop transport as well for throwing it up there, and I don't care if it dies, it's going to do D3 more wounds to the rest of you. Most of your stuff is only deadly demise 1, which not the greatest target for it, but but having it in your back pocket is okay. That guy's on 1 wound. I'm just making sure he dies.
Absolutely, and being able to blank a single fatal save within 12 inches of the character that's got the enhancement there is really solid. If we see a return to a lot of single shot weapons with D6+3, you're talking your lancers with a couple of shots that are really high value. That's an incredible
when that
ability.
Drukari Codex comes in.
Oh yes, but I don't think a single blank will save us against all the dark light that the Drukari can muster.
No.
Moving on, Data Psalm Conclave.
Yeah, so this is my one. So the way this works is similar. This is at the start of the battle round, you select one of these to be active for your army. Specifically, it's Cult Mechanicus keyword stuff. And for reference, that's all your tech priests have it. And then your breachers, so all your Cataphrons, your breachers and destroyers, and then the Corpuscari, which is your electro priests, either with jazz hands or jazz stick. So you choose one of these. Either when you're within half range, you get an extra AP with your range attacks. So that's more of your breacher one, or your so suddenly I'm within 15 inches with an arc rifle. I get rapid fire 2, and I'm now AP 3. Wonderful. And then you also have your instead you can also have, when I charge, I get +1 strength and attack on all my melee weapons. Which suddenly my breaches are strength 9 with 3 attacks, or my Corpuscari I think your main damage 1 becomes 4 attacks, AP 1, damage 2, which isn't bad at all. Strength 7, I believe. Strength 7 on the Corpuscari squad. This is the detachment that makes priests go from being it's a fine data sheet to actually no, potentially there's something here. Jumping out of a transport and rushing someone.
Yeah, I like the melee boost here. Like, that's the bit that seems like the most interesting build around for sure.
I think it's the build that changes the most for as a list. The other one is you're doing what you're already doing quite well, a little bit better. That one actually goes, okay, I'm actually rethinking how I'm making my list, which is rare. Not all these detachments do that, but this one does in that regard. But yes, 1 CP for +1 to wound in combat. As we established, fantastic. Suddenly, even if I'm going to a big thing with my breaches, I'm wounding on 4s. Happy days. And my Corpuscari munch through light and chaff, even better. There's not much more to say about that. +1 to wound in combat's fantastic.
1 CP. You can slam it every time you want to use it.
Fight on death on a 4+. It makes even killing breaches somewhat sketchy. So
I really like this because it's the sort of thing that sort of fixes bad matchups. So, for example, you're going to get charged by some sort of World Eaters unit turn 1. If you're potentially stringing out a line of 10, forgotten the name of them, the jazz hands, not the jazz hands, the jazz stick. Electro priests, yeah, thank you. If you're stringing out 10 electro priests and they, perhaps have to charge them, and you go, cool, half of them are going to hit your units. AP 1, 2 damage, that's actually reasonably good into Khorne Berserkers, for example. It really makes your opponent have to think about where they want to allocate the damage.
Oh, yeah. Especially because certain units can just pick them up. They are potentially quite squishy. They're -1 to wound if they've got a character Corpuscari, but they will have a 4 Feel No Pain if they've got their character with them. But they are still 1 wound, so some things will just tear through them. So this helps mitigate some of that a little bit, so they can still actually get some of that output going. But yes, there's a AoE mortal wounds trap for them, which is you know what? I think a lot of codexes have something like this now, which which is nice to have. Something's on 1 or 2 wounds, I'm gonna go for the 4-up. I just kill it outright.
Yeah, no, it's really solid. Like you say, a lot of armies have it. Nightbringer has it from Necrons we've just seen. This is in the shooting phase. 6-inch bubble around a unit. Because it's around a unit, not around a model, you can make it quite a big AoE. You can tag quite a lot of units with it. It's fairly solid, and it's it's on a 4+ if you take it on the Electromancer.
Yep, on the Electro Priest, but even on the 5-up, it is Cult Mechanicus units, so it is those big breacher bricks of 660 mil bases.
Yeah,
it's like that could be a lot of range.
It really can. Yeah. And because it's in the shooting phase as well, which is where typically you do a lot of your damage as AdMech, even in a more melee-focused attachment, it's just nice to know where you've allocated instead of having to wait till the end of the turn to try and finish something off.
Yeah, 100%. You then have if you want to try, if you don't want to kill or you want to survive, four up invuln against shooting, which is really solid. Once again, I hate that we keep having to refer to breaches, but they are actually a Cult Mechanicus unit. But you can give a breacher unit 4 up invuln.
This is one that you might actually use because it's a single CP instead of 2.
Yeah. This is the 4 up there's quite a few ways to get 4 up invuns scattered around this book, either via enhancements or strats. This is one of the easy ones. And you're sitting a brick of breaches in the middle with a 4 up invuln against shooting, and if you want to charge me, go ahead. This is the detachment where I'm actually going to do some damage back to you a lot easier.
Yeah, no, they are solid. They've got some fairly solid strats as well. Not strats, enhancement. I keep calling them the wrong thing. My favourite here is the, not going to try and say that, gives you a fights first. Tech priest only, so you can't put it on the big unit of punchy robots, which is a shame, because they would be lovely. But if you are running a big squad of breaches, which, let's check notes, you're playing AdMech, you're running a big squad of breaches. It's a really solid, because if you want to be more aggressive with them, as Jack was saying before, you are liable to get tied up in combat. This detachment, I think if you're playing it, you're probably going to be leaning into the extra strength and AP, which means that you're more likely to be, trying to play aggressively with the breaches. You might not be charging with them, but you're less upset about charging with them. It's harder to tie up a unit when it's going to do 18 attacks into you instead of 12. But then also giving you that fights first means even when the Terminators charge you, they're going to have a lot less models than they thought they would when they get round to swinging at you.
I will also clarify one thing actually as well. You can put it on the big robots. The Data Smith does have the Tech Priest keyword.
Well, damn, I missed that. Okay, new plan. Put it on a big unit of 4 punchy robots.
Yes, I'm in for that.
Perfect.
It is quite hilarious. It's the only thing. Actually, that's a good point. Now I'm just going to check. I don't think he does. Where is he? I want to make sure that the Datasmith doesn't have Cult Mechanicus keyword. I'm almost 90% sure he doesn't, but I'm just going to check, because if he does, that changes things. He does not.
He has Legio Cybernetica.
He just has Legio Cybernetica.
Okay,
but yes, in that he gets his fight first, which is still hilarious.
Very solid. All right, moving on. We've got the Explorator Maniple, acquisition at any cost, which is my favorite way to win games. You pick at the start of your command phase, you select one objective marker to be your acquisition objective marker. Basically, point at a marker, either one in your deployment zone, one in the middle of the board, doesn't matter where. Each time one of your models makes an attack, if the model's unit is either within range of the marker, or if the target is in range of the marker, reroll a wound roll of 1. Solid. It's just it's an efficiency boost. I'm sure that is the end of this rule, and we won't have to think about it anymore. Psych! It's on everything. So, let's start with the strats. This is one that I think once you've played 5 or 10 games with it, it's going to come very naturally, and I don't actually think it's going to be super brain intensive, but while you're getting used to it, you're going to have to really think about your positioning, think about how you've got to plan out your turn before you start rolling any dice, because you've got to choose which objective it is in the command phase. Go ahead.
There'll be a moment where it just clicks.
It really, yes, there really will be.
And once you figure that out and get your head around bouncing around objectives like that and being in the perfect position for it, I think this is generally going to be the better of the detachments.
But to fill the gap while you're struggling to learn, you can spend a CP and you can pick an objective that's within 24 inches of one of your tech priests, and suddenly you've got 2 acquisition objectives. Now you only have to think half as much, so makes your life nice and easy there. Just a CP tax every turn. So strat-wise, there's a really interesting one if you're playing sort of more melee-focused. You get to consolidate 6 inches as long as you end on your acquisition objective. However, you've got to be more than 3 inches away from an enemy unit when targeted. So you're going to put this on a unit that's made a charge, killed whatever it's charged, is within 6 inches of, getting onto the objective marker that you're trying to get within range of. It's a lot of hoops to jump through, but it is going to allow you to set up some really powerful charge and swings, which is a lot harder to do in 10th edition with the way, you have to base everything when you can, and you can't move after you've finished combat unless you're fulfilling a couple of little tick boxes there. There's a nice strat here, +1 to wound for a unit that disembarked this turn. This is interesting. I'm not super excited by it because you can't put breaches in a transport.
You can't. It is better when because you have to remember their transport. The Dune Rider has fire support, so if it shot a unit, the unit that disembarked from it gets full reroll wounds against it as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that is true.
it's not because you can only put Vanguard and Corpuscari and Rangers in it. The output's not great, but it's also a lot more guaranteed.
Yeah, maybe I need to look at running some numbers on the Corpuscari when they jump out and do their jazz hands.
Yeah,
But
it's a lot of sustained hits there.
yeah, speaking of transports or good units such as the Taser Go Dragoons, you've got a strat for if you've got an infantry unit and a smoke keyword unit within 6 inches of each other, spend a CP. They both get stealth and cover. Just very good. -1 to hit and plus to your save on 2 units is great. You know what's infantry? Breaches. You know what's smoke? Dragoons. Are they the 2 best units in the book?
Yes, they are.
You bet your goddamn bottom dollar they are. So I think this is going to get a lot of use out of it, and it really buffs the survivability of your units there, the ones that you want to survive anyway. Also, you can be just really frustrating to deal with if you're playing against a heavy melee army, or if you've managed to cut some angles. If you've got an infantry unit fully within 3 inches of a transport, when they are charged, spend a CP, they just get to embark on the transport. Incredibly frustrating for your opponent if they're trying to pick you up. It's Harlequin boats all over again. I quite like all the enhancements on this detachment as well.
Yes.
These 2 are the ones that I picked out as the most exciting to me, but I think all 4 have some play. So Genitor, if you're within range of your acquisition objective, you get a 4-up invuln. Just really solid. This means that you could potentially put it on a Dominus, always giving that 5-up feel no pain. You're getting, if you position and pick your acquisition objective correctly, you're getting a 4-up invuln and a 5-up feel no pain. Very difficult to shift, as we've been talking about previously. Yep. And this is effectively free. It doesn't cost you CP to do.
You can also put on a unit Castellans because the Datasmith can take it.
That is true, which does make them significantly harder to shift because they are fairly tanky. You can also take Logis, which is +1 to hit against targets on your acquisition objective. Just good. Again, maybe you put it on, let's say, a character joining breaches. I hate to come back to them, but if they're hitting on 3s rerolling all hits, that's significantly more effective than hitting on 4s rerolling all hits.
Yep.
Just a good roll. All round. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and it's doubly so, especially when you've got the strat to then select a different objective. So it's like, this is the objective that my breaches are going to bully endlessly, and I can bounce it around.
Yeah, if you've got the CP to spare, you can just go, this is the objective that I am focusing on, and this is the objective that I'm getting defensive buffs on, and you can really just get the best of both worlds.
And there's an enhancement to get on a 4+, you get a CP as well. So it's one of the only ones. It's one of the only ways to generate CP in the AdMech book, bar the 5-up refund on some of your Skitarii units.
Yeah, it's very valuable because there's no sort of free strats. There's no call doesn't give you a CP every turn.
He doesn't. The marshals get to do a strat for free on the unit they're in.
Sorry, there's no free strats on units I care about. Is what
exactly.
I should have said.
That's the thing about it. Marshals can only be in Vanguard and Rangers, and you're not really spending that CP too much.
Yeah. For all the Space Marine players, it's like your captains could only join your scouts. You're taking the units because they're good, but you're not going to spend any CP on them.
I love Explorator Maniple for a lot of the same reasons why I love Rad, because it's not super specific on one small branch of the AdMech book. It's not, I'm only buffing robots. It's not, I'm only buffing Skitarii units. Everything can make use out of it, and everything does. Like, Castellans are good in this because of the Invuln. Breaches are good in this because of it. Dragoons are good in this. Ballistarii are good in this. Even your infantry, because you've got the strat to get back into your boats and things. For the same reason Rad works, this works, because you can play everything, and it will do a good job in it.
Yeah, which is a great seg into the list that we've got. This is the list that Jack wrote for us. We did play around with a couple of different ones. I haven't played any games with the Hunter cohort, so I didn't want to write a list for it. I think there is a very interesting list there, which is, Jack was saying lots of bodies. I was thinking more in terms of just lots of your scoring units, but I haven't put it on the table. I don't want to write a list for it and just say, hey, this is something that you should try out. So what we have is AdMech good stuff. This is in Rad-zone Corps. It could be in 3 out of the 5, probably 4 out of the 5 detachments, and work almost perfectly in all of them. You did say that Rad-zone was your personal favorite, which is why we went with this one. Do you want to give us a quick run through on how this, all the units and how they sort of work together?
Yep. So you've got two squads. You've got 2 Tech Priest Dominuses, and they each have their own little happy brick of Cataphan Breaches. So they each have each of the bricks have a 5 feel no pain, and this isn't the detachment that innately gives them lethal hits for a CP. One of those has the Peerless Eradicator strat, which is sustained hits 1, and the other one has inbuilt stealth for that Breacher squad. With the Malphonics Sorceress, or however you're going to say half these AdMech words. But yes, so you then have a Manipulus who goes with the smaller Cataphan Breacher squad. Torsion Cannon is the other thing you can take for Breaches, which is D3 Blast, Strength 6, -2 damage, which is not bad at all. It's also Anti-Infantry 2+. I put these in there because if we're starting to see bricks of Necrons, or if we're starting to see any things like your Cursed Cultists and anything like that, having that blast option is kind of really handy for that. But yes, you then have Rangers and Vanguard. 1 squad of Rangers to make my backfield objective sticky, and 2 Vanguard because Vanguard reduce the OC of everything within three of them. So their job is to go on objectives and grab them, as well as babysit my breaches, so I full rerolls. One thing we've not actually mentioned, we've not talked about so far in this is the Taraxi, which is our equivalent to jump pack troops. They are wonderful. They are the epitome of AdMech objective play, especially the Skystalkers in particular, because they have deep strike, shoot, move. So they come down from deep strike, shoot something. They've got a lot of chaff killing shots, no AP, low strength, but 5 shots each roughly. But you don't care. They're moving 6 inches and stealing an objective. Especially in this where Rad-zone, I've potentially battle shocked some of your stuff on the objectives anyway, so I only need to get one of them on there. So even if
killed half of the unit, so that it's easier to fit in the back lines.
Exactly. So they're fantastic at just scoring me points. That's all the Skystalkers are there for. Jumping to the other side of that list, briefly, Skitarii and Infiltrators. Infiltrating down, and they're just doing my actions for me early on. They also have a quite a nice gimmick that works quite well in this particular, where if you're within 6 inches of them, they reduce your leadership by 1 for the purpose of Battleshock tests, which you're taking a lot of extra Battleshock tests in Rad-zone because I'm bombing you. And equally, if they're within 6 inches of battle line, you get it's an additional -1, so it's -2. And if you start combat with them at the start of the fight phase, you have to take a Battleshock test against them. So there's weirdly quite a lot of Battleshock shenanigans just sort of popping off in this, which I enjoy. And as we've talked about Dragoons a lot, there is 8 of them in this. So there's 2 squads of 3 and a squad of 2. And basically the logic behind this is one of them is on the board from the get-go and the other 2 are in strategic reserves, because they are my rapid ingress for turn 2 and turn 3, because they are the fastest thing alive. So being able to I can rapid ingress them behind buildings, and they're still getting exactly where I want them to go. And they are such a nuisance. It's fantastic. So there's a lovely wave to this list where I'm bombing your deployment zone before the game's even started. I'm forcing you to come out. I'm charging you with a squad of Dragoons. The next turn, the Breachers are then in position, and behind them is another squad of Dragoons, and then finally another squad of Dragoons.
It's really solid. And because the Dragoons put out so much fire support, you'll find as well that opponents quite often don't want to just fully commit their army to the middle, which means they're looking at setting up fire lanes where they can shoot at you and not necessarily get punished back by the breaches. You're looking at fire lanes and going, oh, you've left me this big spot where I can just put 2 Dragoons. Neat.
No, it exactly. You aren't going to win the fire lane duel against AdMech, because chances are you're going to shoot into breaches, not kill any of them, and then they're shooting you back.
They are terrifying. Thank you for joining us, Jack, and talking through all of the AdMech stuff. We will be getting to an individual breakdown of the detachments. I think this is one that benefits the most from waiting for the balanced data slate coming in January. I think AdMech might be receiving some changes there, whether it's points, Whether we see some datasheet tweaks, we will see. But next week we will be looking at the first of the Necron detachments. There will be a poll going up on YouTube. Please do vote on that one if you have one that you're particularly interested in seeing. My favorite being just the base index, John's being the hypercrypt, I believe. But you pick whatever you fancy seeing.
Monoliths. Always
Monoliths. Lovely stuff. See you next week.